Most people watch 2 to 4 minutes of a video. If you're going to watch any video to the end, this is probably one of them you want to do this with, especially if you're young. If you care about having money, if you care about surviving, if you care about having groceries, then you might want to listen to this video. You know, when you first enter this world, you have a lot of fun, you play, you get home before the lights go down. And then when you start getting older, 18 or so, you go to college, and the credit card companies are all sitting there in tables trying to sign you up. No credit checks, no nothing. We don't care if you got bad credit. Come on over here, we'll sign you up. You're going to need a credit card when you're in school. And that's the sad part. And they fall for it. You know, people are like, well, you know, I need to go out. I need to get drunk. I need to have fun with my friends. I'm going to need things. Let me just say there's nothing you need. Keep that in mind. There's nothing you need. At that young age of 18, there is nothing you need. But let's go further with the credit cards. My dad, God rest his soul, I remember when he was paying on his credit cards, he was paying like 3 or 4%. And when they raised it to like 7%, he flipped out. He even canceled cards. He was like, that's highway robbery. What the hell do they think they are? Loan sharks? He'd roll over in his grave if he'd seen what happened with these credit cards. It's not just credit cards. There are all kinds of pitfalls. The rich are taking advantage of the poor. And you take, for example, title loans. They're in every little town, big town, whatever. Anybody that installs a business like that is basically screaming, I'm here to take advantage of you. And these people live in your town. You know, I have one in my town. They give away free pens, mouse pads, everything else under the sun. That should tell you something. They're making money. They're making a lot of money. And they're my neighbor. I hate their guts. When you take advantage of people in your town, I just have no respect for you. That's just me. Now, you also got title loans. You've got Rent-A-Center. There's another crook. Rent-A-Center, deliver it. No credit check. Sometimes you get a used one. Sometimes you get a new one. Well, why are you getting a used one? It's gone to 2 or 3 people. They couldn't make the payments, and it came back, and we're now giving it to you. They're recycling. And it's nothing but scams to take advantage of you. That's all it is. You know, people are too lazy, and that's the key word here, lazy, to go out and look around for a used washer that you can probably get for $50 if you look hard enough. I've seen people on Marketplace saying, do you have a free washer because I don't have any money? And I've seen the comments saying, I do. I got a couple here. People do go out of their way to help. I have more respect for them than I do for the businesses. I've done it myself. I've had people sit back and post in my area saying, I don't have a working stove. And I've actually decided, well, I need a stove anyways because one of my burners don't work, but 3 burners work and the oven works, so I'm going to go buy a stove. And then I contact them and I say, I got a stove, but 1 burner doesn't work. They're at my house in 10 minutes to get that stove. They didn't have to go to Rent-A-Center. They didn't have to be scammed. You know, a lot of crooks out there. But let me show you something on what I mean. I have 3 credit cards, by the way. And this particular letter, and I get 2 or 3 of these a week. $700 credit limit, $2,500 credit limit, your pre-selected Indigo MasterCard. I'm going to get 0 security deposit because a lot of credit cards will say, look, we want a security deposit of $500 and then we'll give you $500, right? Well, if your credit's high enough, they start sending you these goddamn garbage. Now, on the front, you see big fancy pictures. You know, it looks pretty, right? And they act like you're getting a deal. They even include, you know, this little plastic credit card to make you think, ooh, I'm going to have a credit card. Understand the front of this letter is marketing. The front of this letter is to screw you. Keep that in mind. Let's move to this side. This is the side with the tiny writing. This is the side you want to be concerned with, okay? And it's very important that you read this side. Let's say we start off with 35.9% interest. And that's also for cash advances. By the way, you never make a cash advance on a credit card. Never. That'll crucify you. Your due date is due after 25 days. I remember back when I was younger, it was 30 days. So they even cut that down, okay? Minimum interest charge will be no less than $1. So it's not bad. But as we go down, we start looking at $0 the first year. So you're not going to pay nothing in the first year for owning this card. Billed $0 each month. You are going to be billed $150 annually thereafter. So after 1 year on this card, they're going to charge you $150 for having it. Isn't that a nice privilege? And then as you go down, they say you're billed $12.50 each month, which works out to $175 for the first year and $49 after that. They're charging you to really have this, aren't they? And then they go into cash advances. Late payment fees are $41. Over limit fees are $41. Return. They're just, wow. They're just screwing you left, right, and center. This is a loan shark, is what this is. Now, understand, there are credit cards higher than this. My credit cards don't have yearly fees. They don't have monthly fees. There's none of that there. Okay? I've got a $4,500 credit card, $2,500 credit card, and I believe a $1,200. I don't use that much. But none of them have any fees whatsoever. Now, at the same time, I have a line of credit at my bank of $10,000. I can even get more if I want, but that's sitting there. Now, that simply means that I can buy anything I want for under $10,000. And I can just pick up the phone and the bank will put the money in there. That's it. All the paperwork's already been done. So think about that. Now, these places that have title loans, the banks hate them. You know, because a bank is charging 7 to 9%. I pay 7. But these title loans are charging 20, 30%, if not more. They're taking advantage of poor people that have horrible credit, and they're just screwing them over. Now, you can even take advantage of people with cars. I've heard of people tell me, if you go to this car lot, they don't do any checks whatsoever, and they'll give you a car. Well, that's not true. They all do checks. There are places out there that'll have 3 different payment levels, for example. If you have bad credit, well, you're going to be paying $900 a month. If you have good credit, you're going to be paying $600 a month. And they have these levels that you pay in a vehicle. And some people will be like, well, I got to have a car. I got to have a car. Everybody's circumstance is different, but there are certain times where you have no choice, where you need to have cash to get you into a situation. Like, for example, if you were in college, you finished your education, you've now got your diploma, and you've got this great interview coming up, but you have no decent clothes. You need a suit and tie, you need decent shoes. Now, you don't need $1,000 shoes. You could go to Salvation Army and really spend a couple hours taking your time and probably get yourself a fairly nice suit. Now, if you use the credit card for that, well, you're walking out of there with, $50 suit, and now you look good. Well, you just put $50 on your credit card. that would be pretty easy to pay off. But if you actually go to, say, a suit place and buy this $800 suit, of course, it's going to look a little bit better, but that's going to be a lot harder to pay off, especially if you don't get the job. So if you're young, think about what you're doing. Credit cards are a bear trap. You step in them the wrong way, and boy, oh boy, you'll never stop paying. And that's the sad part. I've been there. Believe me, I've been there. I fell for it when I was younger. I mean, I had a credit card. It took me 6 years to get paid off. I was paying the minimums. I was paying a little extra. I just didn't make enough money. But I had no problem spending it. And I was irresponsible, and I didn't think about it whatsoever. So if you can get past the idea that you need it and you can be responsible, then you've got them beat. Like, my credit cards now are mainly for emergency. Now, what I mean by emergency, if I went on a trip and I'm away from my home, and let's say I blew a transmission, it's going to cost me $5,000 to fix it. I've got the credit cards to say, fix it now, boom, boom, boom. And I'll worry about it when I get home. There are certain situations where credit cards come in handy. Now, if you don't use credit cards, you also have to think about they'll cancel you. So you literally have to go pay a bill with your credit card. I rotate all three of mine. So I'll go pay a bill, and I'll wait 7 days and I'll pay it off. I already got the money to pay the bill, so I'm just bouncing between the credit cards. And it keeps them alive. But none of my credit cards have anything on them. And they're complete crooks. They are at 35% interest rate, though, which my dad would have canceled all his credit cards. He really would have. If you're irresponsible with a credit card and you just can't be responsible, pay them off, cut them up, throw them away. See if the bank will give you a certain amount of cash on hand when you need it. But there are so many things in America that will trap you and keep you in that place for a very long time. Our schools are like that anymore. People get student loans and everything else. And, they're owing money for 30 years, if not more. I had a doctor I was talking to, and the doctor took out all loans and everything to become a doctor. In his mind, I was going to be rich. He wasn't rich. He was living worse than me. His payments were outrageous, and now he could not stop being a doctor. And he told me that when he's about 60 years old, they'll all be paid off. He says, so then I can enjoy my life. And I was like, wow. I don't think I would have went to school to become a doctor. I think I would have went to school to become a tradesman. If it meant I'm not going to have this huge bill, because he would have been enjoying his life for his whole life. He sold his life for a lie, is what he did. So understand, when you get these papers for credit cards, read the back. And if you see yearly fees or you see anything like that, throw it in the garbage, cut it up. And just wait. And you'll finally get access to better credit cards. But you really got to be careful, because every single one of them are different. Every single one requires reading. I did get one of these in the mail, and I didn't read the back. This was about 2 years ago. And, the credit card came in quick. It was like $1,200. And I went and bought a few things. Probably made some reviews on them for you guys. And I didn't read the back. And then my wife, I told her the credit card name, and she said, oh, God, it's one of those. Read the back. So I did read the back of the paper, and I went, oh, my God, I got to get rid of this. Now, it took me 2 months. I paid the credit card off, and then I immediately canceled it. And while I was on the phone with this Indian girl, she spoke good English. She said, well, you realize you have to pay this off. You just can't leave it because you canceled it. I says, actually, it's already paid off. I waited till I paid it off, then called. I guess I could have called, and then it would have canceled it, and then I could have made the payments. And believe it or not, when I did that, it took a hit on my credit. It actually brought my credit down a little bit. So here I'm trying to be responsible. Here I'm trying to make sure I am optimizing my finances And because I canceled his credit card, I take a hit. The system's rigged. And that's all there is to it. So, one rule of thumb, the golden rule: if it's money, if it's a credit card, if it's a title loan, if it's a rent-a-center, if it's money, stop and don't buy and read the fine print. Find out how much interest rate it is. Find out if you can pay it off, or is there a penalty for that? Because sometimes there's penalties. All the better if you don't go to rent-a-center. All the better if you don't get a credit card. All the better if you stay away from title loans. Title loans are poison. When I drive by those places, and they're everywhere. I don't care what city you're in. You might as well say Satan is out there with his little ears saying, "Come on in, I got some money for you." It's like that old commercial you've seen on the insurance companies where the guy had $100 bill on a fishing pole and he kept saying, "Oh, you almost got it. Oh, you almost got it." Don't do it. Really, really pay attention when it's money and it seems like a good deal. Because there's one rule of thumb that has always applied in my 61 years of life. If it's too good to be true, it always is. There's no maybe, it always is. And if you're not careful, you're going to get yourself in a trap and you're going to regret it, whether you suffer for a couple of years or whether you suffer for friggin' 40 years. Open your eyes. So, be careful. These guys are getting filthy rich off you. Catch you on the next one.